This week, March 23rd, is the 2020 census. I'm going to have the computer read it to you. And if you have any problems, we can do a one-on-one reading system.
News to you. March 23rd, 2020. 2020 Census. The U.S. will have a census in 2020. A census counts every person living in an area. The 2020 census will count every person living in the U.S. The law says the U.S. must have a census every 10 years. The first U.S. census was in 1790, and the most recent census was in 2010. The 2010 census counted 307.8 million people living in the U.S. A government group called the Census Bureau is in charge of each census. The Census Bureau uses the census to gather information about people living in the U.S. The information from the census helps the U.S. government make important decisions. One decision is about the House of Representatives, which is a part of the U.S. government. The House of Representatives always has 435 representatives, divided among the 50 U.S. states. Each state gets a certain number of representatives, based on how many people live in that state. Every 10 years, the government uses information from the census to decide how many representatives each state gets. States with more people can get more representatives. States with fewer people can get fewer representatives. The government uses census information to understand the needs of states and local communities. The government gives money to states and local communities to help with those needs. States and local communities may use the money to start after-school programs or job training programs. They may use the money to build hospitals and schools, improve neighborhoods, repair roads and buy buses. Businesses use information from the census to make decisions too. Businesses may decide to open new stores, restaurants, factories or offices in areas where more people live. How does the Census Bureau do a census? In a census year like 2020, the Census Bureau sends letters and census forms to every home in the U.S. in March. The letter tells people about the census and why it is important. The census form has a list of questions about the people living in each home. Some questions ask what the address of the home is and how many people live at that address. Some questions ask the name, age and birthday of each person. Everyone must answer the questions. The census is a part of U.S. law. People can answer the questions on the census forms and then mail the forms back to the Census Bureau. The 2020 census has something new. In 2020, people can choose to answer the questions online or on the phone. Workers from the Census Bureau may visit some homes in the U.S. The workers count the people living in the homes and ask questions from the census forms. The 2020 census will count every person living in the U.S. The census will count you, your family, your friends, your teachers and more. How many people do you think are living in the U.S. in 2020?